In this video, I'm going to introduce the concept of elasticities, and then we're going to talk about what, in my opinion, is the simplest of the elasticities, which is the own price elasticity of demand. So first, I want to motivate this entire discussion by talking about a little bit, just a very, very little bit, about why we even care about elasticities, and specifically the own price elasticity in this case. So the own price elasticity is important because every single firm has to decide, how much should I charge for my product? Whatever they're selling, they have to figure out a price for it. And it turns out that lots and lots of economists get paid a lot of money just to figure out what will be the price that, again, maximizes revenue. So every single firm's decision is to try and maximize their revenue. And a big piece of that is deciding what's the correct price to charge. So the two kind of questions that then have to be asked to get back to this question, so I guess I'll kind of do like these two questions relate to this question up here, is they're trying to figure out, if I increase the price, by how much will quantity sold decrease? So, I'll be making more money, but if I sell so few units that it doesn't even matter, then I should probably leave the price where it is. And vice versa, if I decrease the price, by how much will quantity sold increase? So maybe I could decrease the price just by 50 cents and I could sell, 100 times more than what I was selling before. And that would be a huge increase in profit. So these questions are pretty important. And they all relate to the own price elasticity of demand. So first, I just want to start off, before we get to this example, I wanted to start off by defining it straight up. So the own price elasticity of demand is just the percentage change in quantity sold, so I'm just going to write Q sub S, over the percentage change in price. And so the way that we calculate this, or the way that I like to calculate this, there are a couple ways to do it, but I'll go ahead and show you all of the ways, and then you can pick whichever one you like best. So I guess that I will do, this is all going to be continued, kind of to be continued down here. Alright, so this, one way to calculate this is the quantity. I'm going to put the S up here now, just because I need this lower, or you know what, no. We'll leave the S here. Quantity sold new minus quantity sold old. So new is after the price change and old is before the price change. Over, and I need to be able to draw a straight line on occasion, over quantity sold old. So this is just the percentage change in quantity sold. And then this entire thing divided by the percentage change in price, which is just going to be the price, the new price, minus the old price, divided by the old price. And then this entire thing in parentheses. So another way to do this, which I like quite a bit better, is, remember, when you divide by a fraction, that's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'll say that one more time. When you're dividing by a fraction, which we are here, we have a fraction on top divided by a fraction on bottom. That's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal of the fraction on bottom. So then we can rewrite this as quantity sold new minus quantity sold old over quantity sold old times price old over price new minus price old. And so then what I do is I bring this over here and this over here, and I'll just write this out one more time. So another way of rewriting this is I do quantity sold new, and this is the one that I normally remember, quantity sold old over P new minus P old times, then we have P old over over Q old. And so this is the one that I remember. And again, this is just the percentage change in quantity divided by the percentage change in price with a bunch of different algebraic manipulations. So then one other thing that I want to say, and this is, if you have not had calculus, completely ignore this, but for those of you that had, you'll be glad that you did, or that I did say this. So this is the same thing. You can write this in as a derivative, and it is the partial change in quantity with respect to price times price over quantity. So this is the change in quantity with respect to price over the old, or multiplied by the ratio of the old price times the old quantity. Excuse me, the old price divided by the old quantity. So if you haven't had calculus, ignore this, but if you had, that should make a little bit of sense and it might make your life easier. Alright, so now we're going to get down to the example. And if any of this kind of rearranging in algebra isn't clear, let me know. I went through it kind of fast because I know that you can go back and rewind and kind of check it out again for a second time. But the important thing to remember is that the own price elasticity of demand is just the percentage change in quantity sold divided by the percentage change in price. Alright, so let's say that I sell sandwiches. If I charge $5 per sandwich, I sell 20 sandwiches a day. So I want to go ahead and make a couple notes already. This is going to be our quantity sold old, and this is going to be our old price. Now if I charge $4 a sandwich, probably going to be our new price. I sell 25 sandwiches a day, probably going to be our new quantity, or it is going to be our new quantity in fact. So now I'm just going to do a little plug and chug, to be completely honest. So we have, I like working with this one over here. So we have quantity new, which is 25, minus the old quantity, which is 20, over the difference in prices, which is 4 minus 5. And that entire thing times our old price, which was 5, over our old quantity, which was 20. So let's do this out. We have 25 minus 20 is going to be, so this is equal to 5 in the numerator, and then we have negative 1 in the denominator, and then we have another 5, and we have 20. So this is going to be negative 25 twentieths, which dividing the entire thing by 5 will be negative 5 fourths. So that says that if I increase, if I increase price by 1%, I will decrease quantity by 1.2%, because this is really negative 1.2. So if, let me say that one more time. If I increase, and I'll write it over here. So if I increase price by 1%, I decrease quantity by 1.2%. Or I could, another way of writing this is I could say that I change quantity. So I change quantity by negative 1.2%. I decrease quantity by 1.2% because this was negative. So a couple more things that I want to say. First, and I'll swing back to this if anyone covers it, but please let me know. If your class talks about how to maximize profit based on elasticity, which is that profit is maximized when an elasticity is equal to 1, let me know and I'll do a video on it, but I think that it's a little bit more complex than most courses cover. And the other thing that I want to say is that there are a lot of other elasticities that are important, and I'm going to talk about some of those in future videos, but I'm not going to go into depth here because this video is already run kind of long. So let me know if there's anything that you don't understand about the own price elasticity of demand. And with that, I will see you in the next video. And again, remember to make sure that if you do cover how to maximize profit in relationship with elasticities, which is really just that your elasticity should be equal to -1 when you're maximizing profit. So to maximize and profit is normally pi. So if you talk about that, let me know. Otherwise, I'm not going to cover it in this video.